What's up guys, C113 here, and in today's video I'm going to be explaining to you why Keystone canned meats are some of the most overlooked prepper food items. Alright guys, so in case you're wondering, why are you talking about canned meat? Why are you talking about prepping? You haven't mentioned that on your channel in like 6 years. Let me explain. The reason I'm bringing this up is because of the current scare/crisis that's sweeping the world. And it's really got people going into two camps. Either you've got the world is ending, the sky is falling, I'm going to run around like a chicken with my head cut off crowd. And then you've got the other side, which is the let me kick my feet up, lean back, and pretend like nothing is wrong and that I'm in zero danger and that nothing could ever go wrong. I think that both camps are taking the absolute wrong approach, and I think that, like many things in life, the best path to take is probably somewhere in the middle. And so for me, I'm trying to maintain that middle road. I'm trying to stay alert, focused, but calm. So for me, making sure that I'm prepared is always been a way of life, and so I'm not freaking out so much as just making sure that I'm plugging any holes in my preparations that I might have otherwise missed, because it's not often that you're going to see, some potential for serious societal disruption, etc. coming. A lot of times people think that, they're going to have plenty of warning, but a lot of times there isn't actually a lot of warning, especially in like the case of a natural disaster or something like that. So, but anyway, on to the canned meats. So, quickly, I am going to talk about them, and I'm going to compare them to a very common choice for people preparing with non-perishable foods. So in the event of a natural disaster or any sort of situation like what's going on now, there could be interruption to food delivery services, there could be interruption to utility power and utility and municipal water. And so these things are things that you want to be prepared for. But in this video, we're just going to be talking about food, and particularly meat, with these Keystone meats. Now, a common survival food that people will put in their preps and say that is a perfect prepping food is freeze-dried food, in this case, Mountain House. Okay. Now, I love Mountain House as much as the next person, but there are some issues that I personally have with it, and I think that for a lot of people make it less of an attractive option. Number one is the price. There is a huge premium for freeze-dried foods to begin with, and especially for Mountain House because it has such a long shelf life. Now, my other issue comes with the ingredients. The quality of the ingredients that Mountain House uses is just not great. There's a lot of food additives, there's a lot of allergens, and there's a lot of inflammatory ingredients that could trigger some people with either autoimmune diseases or food sensitivities and certain health issues. I know for me, a lot of these added fine carbohydrates and sugars is a big no-no, and I can't generally eat this stuff for very long without really getting sick. So while, don't get me wrong, if you love Mountain House, that is more power to you. And hey, I stock this stuff too, but I'm just saying that for me, this may not be the best option to stock in large quantities. However, if it works for you, that is great. I am by no means downplaying the quality of this product in terms of, how well does it keep, how good does it taste, all that stuff. I think they do a really good job, probably best in the business. Now, how does it compare to the Keystone meats? Well, let's start with the expiration date. So now, depending on when you buy these things after they're manufactured, they're going to be good for about 4 to 5 years. And you can see this one is good for just over 4. This one's good for just under 5. So pretty good. If a 5 is about the max I've ever found. And you know what? For a canned meat product, that is A-okay in my book. The next thing we're going to talk about, because we got to do a comparison, right, is taste. How do they taste? Well, I would say this is 10 times better in terms of texture and flavor and just how it feels when you chew it. Because, let's be honest, that sort of resistance and texture in meat is a big part of, what makes meat taste good. And so preserved meats generally either are super hard and hard to eat, like jerky, or they taste real spongy and stuff. And that's generally what happens with freeze-dried foods. This stuff has a great taste. and a great texture. And I think that's something that people find surprising. They think it's going to be disgusting because canned meat, just the idea of it seems disgusting. Now I will say, so I just want to add on another benefit of the Keystone canned meats is that they are fully cooked and ready to eat out of the can. So while I wouldn't recommend eating them just straight cold out of the can because the texture is just not going to be great, because you've got congealed fat, you've got a little bit of retained water, and it's just cold meat that's just stuck together. But being that you can eat it completely out of the can, that means you don't even need a stove, you don't need hot water, you don't need anything. You can eat it straight out of the can. The Mountain House, you really can't do that. I mean, you need to boil some water before you can eat this stuff. So if, in a pinch, you needed something to eat and you just had zero way to heat any water, or, whatever, you ran out of firewood or something for the night, you could still eat this stuff. No questions asked, no problems. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about, right, is bang for the buck. So how much do these things cost and what are you getting? So these two cans are the chunk forms of chicken and beef. They also have ground beef, they have chunk pork, and I don't remember if they have any ground pork or chicken. I think they may only do the ground beef. But anyway, let's go over the prices. So these two cans are both around $9 for 14.5 ounces, which, by the way, is the size I would recommend, since if you're planning on not being able to keep these in the refrigerator or any sort of way to preserve them longer term, you don't want a giant can, even though they do sell them. You don't want a giant can that could go bad if it can't be refrigerated. And then the ground beef can, which is about the same size and weight, is only $4.99, so $5. So initially you might say, well, that's still a lot of money, right? $9, almost $10 for a can. You got to remember, all of that is going to give you, and the beef can is going to give you about 600 some odd calories. Now you might look at the Mountain House and say, well, the Mountain House gives me 800 some calories. But you got to remember, the 600 some calories from Keystone is coming entirely from beef and beef alone. So that's beef fat, that's beef protein, and that's animal nutrition, right? When it comes to this Mountain House, most of the calories are coming from the rice, and just a small portion is going to come from that chicken. Now, rice is easy to store. In my opinion, for a prepper that's just looking for food that they can cycle in and out of their daily usage, so they're not going to have to blow a lot of money on food that just sits on the shelf, and that is going to provide the optimum nutrition that they can get, and also the best textures that they can get when it comes to food long term, I would say your better plan would be to store a bunch of rice, beans, or whatever in their dry form, in sealed bags. If you want to do the whole Mylar oxygen absorber thing, you can. You could also just do a plastic vacuum seal bag and then just, like I said, cycle that like every year, every 2 years. And I think that's a much better option because you've got higher quality meat with, that preserves the great texture of meat. That's super easy to heat up if you want to. Literally, it's already cooked, so you just toss around a pan with whatever seasonings you want and you're good to go. And then you keep your rice. So, and then you've got your rice or your other carbs that you can cook on the side. And to me, that makes a great duo for a survival food. If you get your canned meat set up, the other dry goods, the grains, those are real easy to store. So for me and my money, the calories that you're getting out of here are a much better deal than the calories you're getting out of the Mountain House. Then that's up to you to decide, what's better for you, but for me, that certainly works. And the last thing I want to talk about is ingredient quality. Because like I said, one of the reasons why the Mountain House doesn't work for me long term is it's got a lot of soy, it's got wheat, it's got sugars, and it's got a lot of refined ingredients that just really don't agree with me, And a lot of people have sensitivities to these sorts of things, and even if they don't have sensitivities in terms of allergies, it may still cause them digestive distress. Now, I'm not here to discuss whether or not you personally have any issues with that. Like I said, if you don't, and you've already decided that this is what you want, don't worry about watching this video. You can click away now. But nonetheless, I'll leave a link for the Mountain House stuff as well in the description because it is a good option. So if you think it's going to work for you, by all means, definitely check it out. But for me, the ingredient quality is a no-brainer. If we look at this beef can, this Keystone Meats beef can, you'll see the only ingredients in here are beef and sea salt. No preservatives, no additives, no refined carbohydrates, no sugar, nothing. Just beef and salt. With the chicken, we'll look in here, take a look at those ingredients. Chicken and salt, sea salt. That's it. So again, if you are someone, or if someone in your family has any special dietary needs or digestive issues or chronic health issues that dictates a strict way of eating and an important avoidance of certain ingredients, it isn't going to get easier to avoid ingredients than having meats that only have 2 ingredients, salt and the meat that's on the can. And this allows you to better cater a survival meal plan that'll work for you long term. So a non-perishable food meal plan that you can still precisely control the ingredients of is in my opinion, it's a luxury. And it's a luxury that actually comes cheaper than some of these, like I said, super, preformed and ready to go vacuum sealed meals. So in conclusion, I will leave the links to these in the description if you want to check them out. I will leave the links for the beef, chicken, and pork, as well as the ground beef. Like I said before, I would recommend the 14.5 ounce cans because, the 28 ounce and the super big ones, there is more in there. So I guess in theory, if you have a large family and you'd be making one of these into a giant meal, every day or every other day or whatever for your whole family, then maybe the 28 ounce can would be a better buy for you. But if you're just going to be cooking for yourself or, you and another person, this might be a better option to go with the smaller cans, just because in the event that you don't have an ability to refrigerate anything, you're not going to be letting a huge amount of food go bad. So anyway, guys, if you like the video, be sure to give me a like. If you agree with or disagree with what I have to say, or if you have an even better option than these Keystone meats, or if you already prep and keep Keystone meats as part of your long-term food storage, definitely leave all that in the comments below. And if you want to see more videos just like this, definitely get subscribed.